Okay, so Ted Lasso is my fix for everything. Having a bad day? Turn on some Ted to cheer me up. Having a great day? Turn on some Ted to celebrate. And because I can never get enough of hearing Ted talk, hey now, I took a look at some fun behind-the-scenes action of this awesome series.
Here we go. Hey, hold my beer.
He's here, he's there, he's every bleepin' where. Roy Kent. If you're a fan of the show, you probably joined in on that chant within the first few words.
He's every fucking where, Roy Kent!
Let's be honest, as far as chants go, it's a banger. But when you picture good old Roy, you probably see actor Brett Goldstein's face, and he's probably shouting the F word in every sentence. And yet he's somehow like the most lovable character on the show. Or maybe like the top 3, I don't know. Everyone on Ted Lasso is frickin' adorbs. But what I recently found out is that Brett wasn't even supposed to play Roy Kent. He was actually a writer on the show before he landed the part. And he admitted that while they were writing the first few eps, he was envisioning himself in the role, even though he knew none of the other writers were yet. But after they finished the scripts, he actually taped himself doing a few of the scenes, and then he sent it to the producers. Dang, that's getting after it. And it worked. They totes agreed with him. And we're all bleeping grateful that they did. Speaking of inspired casting, it turns out Juno Temple's character, Keely Jones, was actually inspired by a real person named, wanna guess? Did you guess Keely? Well done, you. Keely Hazel, an actress and a model, was already a friend of Jason Sudeikis's, and he decided she'd make for a great character. He loosely based Keely Jones on her, and perhaps as a sign of his gratitude, he also gave her a part on the show. She plays Bex, the fiancée of ex-Richmond owner and general not-so-great guy, Rupert. You have to wonder if that's the first time in TV history that a person inspired a character and then acted opposite that character as a completely different character. I'd look it up, but honestly, I don't even know how I would phrase it. I've already given up and I'm gonna go eat a snack. While I do, maybe you can hit that subscribe button to catch more vids like this one. But speaking of snackage, did you know that those biscuits Ted always brings Rebecca are in real life pretty awful? It's a little heartbreaking if I'm being real with you guys. I always imagine those biscuits are like a little slice of magic, and that Hannah Waddingham, who plays Rebecca, ruins takes because she's like enjoying them too much. That particular bubble of mine burst when I heard that they're, to her, like sticking a piece of sponge in her face. Say it ain't so, Rebecca. Or I guess since Rebecca is like a proper English woman, say it isn't so. Apparently, Hannah considers the process of pretending the biscuits taste amazing as the best acting she does on the show. But since she's great in pretty much every scene, I guess she's just multi-talented. Another multi-talented performer on the show is Cristo Fernandez. He plays the ever-bubbly Danny Rojas, the man whose skills rescued the team in their lowest points. And shooting his scenes on the pitch was probably slightly easier on the production team because Cristo is actually a former pro footballer, so he's like not faking it at all. He played in Liga MX in Mexico for the team Tecos. And while he wasn't quite good enough to make it in the top levels of the sport, he certainly was good enough to fake it for Apple TV. Although I also found out that most of the players on the team played at least in high school, if not college too. So there's not really any actors on the FC Richmond squad that are totally faking it. Another thing that was totally not faked was when Ted Lasso hit his head on Rebecca's doorframe. According to Jason Sudeikis, that moment looked so real, well, because it was. He nailed the top of his head on her frame as he jumped out of her office. But it wasn't in the script for him to hurt himself. He accidentally jumped a bit too high and ended up splitting his head open. They had to use super glue to seal it shut because the dang thing was gushing like a geyser. Jason knew he'd actually hit his head when he did the take, but he didn't realize he'd hit it quite so hard. He reached up there to check on it and saw a little drop of blood, so for a second, he didn't think it was too bad. But then a moment later, there was like a pool of blood on the ground next to him. So yeah, that's commitment to the part, y'all. And of course, all the actors are committed to their parts. Some have even committed to a couple of them. The role of Higgins is def a fan favorite, and Jeremy Swift plays him brilliantly, with a perfect mix of nerdy and wise. It wouldn't have surprised me if Swift was like the first person who got cast because he seems to fit the role so perfectly. But it turns out they actually took a look at some other auditioners, namely Jamie Tart and Nate. Yep, Phil Dunster, who plays Jamie Tart, and Nick Mohammed, who plays former assistant coach Nate, both read for the role of Higgins. Now, I can sort of see Nick Mohammed in that role because he plays meek and good-hearted so well, especially early on in Nate's story. But I was floored thinking about Phil Dunster not only playing Higgins, but not playing Jamie Tart. I also can't help but think of the name Phil Dunphy when I hear his name, but that's probably because I recently binged Modern Family. Not something you need to worry about. The producers did need to worry about the scene where the team does karaoke and Rebecca sings Let It Go. Not because of Hannah Waddingham singing, she clearly sings like an angel and I won't hear otherwise, but because Disney wasn't super into them using that song in the show. And by not super into, I mean they said no. But in a smart move, the Ted Lasso team went ahead and had her do a take with that song anyway. They also filmed one with her singing I Will Survive. When they sent the finished scene with Let It Go in there, Disney was all, oh, yeah, just kidding. So they were able to use the song. Okay, I'm gonna go try to make some biscuits that don't taste like sponge. And I probably will sing Let It Go, cause Disney has no rights over what I belt out off-key in my kitchen, you guys. If you know of any other fun BTS gold from Ted Lasso, hit up the comments section.